would be that European playoff that came out of the hat, and it was to be.
Oh, yeah.
But it sets up a potential. I know we had the meeting at the Euros, another huge game. England and Scotland have never met at a World Cup. You tell me, what would it mean to those Scotland fans to get through to the World Cup, knowing now that they could face England?
Oh, it's unbelievable, isn't it? But as you said it there, though, Hugh, it's the getting through to the World Cup. This is a long way from being done yet from a Scottish viewpoint. But you know what? This is what we're experts in. This is what we do, Hugh. I mean, way back in 1977, I think it was, Scotland, Wales at Anfield. I mean, funnily enough, I'm in Liverpool tonight, so just down the road at Anfield. And there was a Don Masson penalty and Kenny Dalglish, and that set us on our way to Argentina. And, you know, to get to Mexico 86, we had to go all the way to Australia to play a Europe-Oceania playoff against the Aussies. And they got there in the end. I think Frank McAvenny scored at Hampden in that one. So, I mean, this is what Scotland do. The Proclaimers are right. We've all got to walk 5,000 miles to get to the blinking venue. But if they can, you know, it would be amazing. But, I mean, they've got to find a way. If the game actually ever takes place between Scotland and Ukraine, they've got to find a way of winning that one. And that will be far from straightforward. And then it will be winner takes all against the Welsh. But my goodness me, I mean, the incentive now to get to Qatar to face you lot. Bring it on.
Yeah, listen, we've got the messages in hammering us already. Patrick says, and this is Patrick who's texted on 81089. He's slightly wrong because he says the British are at it again, saying it's coming home. No, it's very much the English taking the high road here, Patrick, this evening. Another one here from Rich says, yes, football is coming home to Wales. So the other countries are getting involved with it. We've got to say, Jim, you know, I know you said it was a 500 miles and there is a way to go, but Scotland fans can be encouraged in the quality of the side under Steve Clarke.
Oh yeah, very much so. I mean, to be quite honest, they've got more than decent players these days in there. Billy Gilmore seems to get better with every game. John McGinn, outstanding. Kieran Tierney. I mean, the players are there. Of that, there is no doubt. But it's a task yet. Of course it's a task yet. But it's just that if they can find a way of doing it, it would be. Can you imagine England-Scotland at a World Cup finals? It would be unbelievable. And of course, we have history with Iran in 1978 in Argentina. We had to line up, I think it was in Cordoba in Argentina. And of course, all of Scotland under Ali MacLeod were absolutely assured that we would take care of Iran. But Iran thought differently, and we drew 1-1. And that was a team that had people like Dalglish, Jordan, Gemmell, Lou Macari. So, I mean, you know, one thing that gets me, though, Hugh, and I will say this, I just looked, just before you boys phoned me tonight, the Mail Online, and I look at the headline tonight, England get a dream World Cup draw as they'll face the USA, Iran, and one of Scotland, Wales, or Ukraine in the group stages. Then it's Senegal or Holland after that, and then possibly champions France in the quarterfinals. You lot have got it won already.
I think we have. I mean, that's what we're all reacting to tonight. Listen, England can go in with a lot of positivity, but I did remark a little bit earlier on, I do think it is a tougher group than people are making out because of that possible prospect. And Faye asked Gareth Southgate about it a few moments ago. The idea of facing a home nation in Wales or Scotland, or, of course, Ukraine, it could be a hugely emotional occasion, and that is something that England would have to deal with. How do you think the Scotland players who've experienced it during the Euros, and it was an emotional evening, I remember, you know, the Euro 96 game, which was off the charts. I know it wasn't a World Cup, but the build-up to that was huge. What would the country, what would the fever be like across the nation, England and Scotland, if we were to meet in a World Cup, do you think?
Oh, Hugh, it'd be like nothing on earth, mate, to be quite honest with you. I mean, there are members of the Tartan Army, no doubt, gathering in various parts of Scotland tonight. And the question on everybody's mind is, where exactly is Qatar? I mean, they will be absolutely consumed by the prospect of facing England. And you know something, Hugh, that's a good point you made. I was on with Simon Jordan, as I am these days, before Scotland came down to Wembley to play England in the Euros. And according to Simon, a.k.a. Edward Longshanks, It was just a question. It was a question of how many England were going to win by.
A formality, yeah.
Yeah, he assured the nation that was listening that England's under-21s would beat the Scots if they were to pitch up that night. And of course, Scotland have a habit of giving it absolutely everything and that bit more when it comes to playing England. England will go in as favourites. England are out-and-out group favourites. Of course they are, Hugh. But, I mean, this is a World Cup finals, and the various twists and turns that have still to come yet are many and varied. I mean, if Ukraine can find a way of beating Scotland and then the Welsh take on Ukraine, you couldn't call that one either. You know, well, of course, the Welsh are already through. Of course, they're waiting for either Scotland or Ukraine in the playoff final. But, I mean, it's anybody's, to be quite honest, Hugh. It's anybody's. One of three, Scotland, Wales or Ukraine, to get to the finals in Qatar and then a chance to meet England. I mean, come on. Incredible.
But, Jim, how you doing, pal? But listen,
Hi.
The problem is when England play Scotland, and it's always been the same, and that's why it makes it more of a tricky tie, is that Scotland are never expected to win. So they go into those games as the underdog and always have nothing to lose. And that makes it more difficult for England because they're always expected to win.
Jim, let me ask you. I know you're in Liverpool. You mentioned it.
It's a good point.
You mentioned you're in Liverpool tonight. All the build-up from 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. You'll be taking us through Liverpool against Watford in the Premier League. And I just came in on that point of underdogs. Do you give Watford any chance of springing a surprise? Everyone hoping that Liverpool and Manchester City at least have the same result this weekend to keep that grandstand game against one another next weekend in the offing.
Yeah. It's a good question, Hugh. I mean, as we all know, Watford have done it before. They have the players. They have the players who are capable of beating Liverpool because they've done it before. But no, I mean, to be honest, I came up in the train this afternoon. One or two Liverpool fans were saying, yeah, it's a potential banana skin tomorrow, but they're very, very confident that they'll win at Anfield tomorrow and get what is a fascinating day off to a very interesting start. I can't see it. Stranger things have happened, mate, but I can't see it. I take Liverpool to win tomorrow.
Absolutely. It's going to be a big game. Nonetheless, Jim White, thank you so much for joining us on Game Day Countdown this evening. All the build-up, as I say, at Anfield, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning on Game Day exclusive. It all starts at 12:30 kickoff. Liverpool against Watford. Dan Windle taking you around the grounds with Game Day live at 2:30, including Burnley against Manchester City and Chelsea versus Brentford. And then at 5:30, I will bring you Manchester United against Leicester exclusively in the Premier League right here on TalkSport. And speaking of live football, there is live football tonight over on TalkSport 2. It's from the Championship. Hull hosting Huddersfield. So make sure you download the TalkSport app and you can move seamlessly between our show and the live football there as well. More still to come, more reaction to the World Cup draw this evening.